We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. I didn't think you were here for some reason this week, so I'm happy to see you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
I was in Las Vegas at the beginning of the week for a conference, but I'm back.
Okay. So, all right. So we talked right before you got
Yep.
on a plane to come here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't drive a car. I've never, no rental car reports, nothing. I just Ubered.
Just Mr.
Ubered.
Vegas.
Ubered.
A lot of people don't know you're a handicapper. You go out and set spreads and
I do all that.
yeah.
Yeah. I probably break them because I don't do anything when I'm in Vegas. They did not get $1 from me for gambling.
There
not
you
a
go.
single dollar.
Not even like in the airport or
I'm
nothing?
usually tempted to drop a 20 at the airport.
Sure.
It didn't.
All right.
They didn't got not $1 from me. I'm proud of myself.
Way to go. Let's start in North Carolina today. Talk to Russ. You're on the Under the Hood show. Russ, what can we do for you?
Good morning, guys. I want to start out by saying I hope this is a learning lesson for other people not to do stupid things that I do. But I bought a 2015 F-150 here in Charlotte, and everything seemed to be all right other than the radio didn't work. It said there was no sound. Now, me being ignorant or not up to par on electronics, I figured it'd be something simple as a small wiring issue or something, a fuse or... So I get it home and I get to digging into it a little more and a little more. Yeah, it's a wiring issue. The previous owner or somewhere before that, somebody decided to take all the equipment from behind the seat, and instead of unplugging it, they just cut it off with a pair of scissors or some big sharp object, and all I'm left with is a bunch of bare wires coming out of the back corner of the cab. My problem is now I'm trying to find the original equipment, but I also need a pigtail that is OEM connection back to an OEM receiver and all the other hardware. Ford says they can get it for me, but they can't find a harness. They don't make a harness anymore. And their suggestion is to go to an aftermarket place and see if they could either build me one or just change the whole system out to an aftermarket radio and receiver and sub and module and whatever else I need. My dad's a faithful watcher of your show. He's listening right now in Wyoming, but he told me about your car-parts.com. I get on there. Orangeburg, South Carolina. I really live in Columbia, South Carolina, so Orangeburg isn't very far from me. They have all kinds of receivers and parts on their list when I put the VIN number in, but I can't seem to find a contact number that is offering me.
Oh, you're
Just
cell phone.
I wanted to answer this question so bad
yeah.
too. Yeah, we can yet.
Yeah.
But just
Stay
whether
right
or not
there,
he's
Russ.
there.
Let's see if
Check him in again. Is he there?
it's still choppy.
Still choppy?
Yeah.
Go to the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Jump. Put your phone on stand on your roof.
Well, his dad's listening.
Yeah,
he
dad's
can
listening.
Get it
Right.
in case he doesn't catch all that.
Exactly. Well, first of all, don't be so hard on yourself. Second of all, yes, these new vehicles, the electronic systems with the radio are not what we grew up with if you're at least 40 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is not Spark-O-Matic
It's better.
with fuses. It is all integrated into the system, and that you've got that radio is on the data bus, and it's communicating with other stuff. So you need all that OEM stuff to work together, or you have to get an aftermarket kit that allows you to convert it properly. So now, having said that, we have got plenty of people that have ran into the same situation, and usually what it ends up being is a truck that went through an auction. This is my best case scenario. It's a truck that went through an auction that had been used as a job truck, and they probably removed the back seat and put other things in there, and or somebody just stole it. But I don't know what they do with it. It's kind of a worthless piece to steal, I would think. But when they do that, sometimes they'll put things back there, and then somebody will retrofit it and put it back to an interior again, so it looks like a pickup to use, but they don't fix everything.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's the unlucky recipient. And in this case, unlucky recipient is Russ. And so
Right.
on Cardash Part, what you need to do, and I just sat next to the owner of Cardash Part for a couple of days here and there in Vegas. He was at the same conference I was. Roger Schroeder and his family do a great job with that. And if you look up somebody that has the proper amplifier, there might be a module associated with that system, but I would more go for the amplifier because I believe that's what sits back in that back corner along with some other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And find out who's got one that is still in a vehicle.
Right.
And then call them and convince them that you'll pay them money, good money, fair money, to go out and get you the harness or cut it off as you need. Sometimes the cutting off part is not the best option because they run some of these run a little bit of digital. Some run coax. It's not as easy to splice that stuff. Russ, go ahead.
There's parts you can buy to splice coax. But, back to the beginning of this, I think what happened is that somebody properly cut the wires. They installed an aftermarket sub back there, maybe a different amp. If you look, you might find that there was a wire run up to the battery in the front because they won't really pull those out typically. They leave
Good
those.
thought. I didn't go there. Good thought.
But then when they got rid of the truck, it was a repo or a quick get rid of it. So they grabbed the quickest thing they had, a knife or a saw blade or something because it's a work truck, and they just ripped it out. So to fix it, your two choices, like Shannon said, Cardash Part. And if you called us and said, hey guys, I want to buy a foot of the pigtail harness off the back of this truck, we'd be like, well, and by the way, while I'm buying that, I want to buy all the modules that were plugged into it. Oh, we'll get right on that. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, if all of a sudden it's a $300 sale instead of a $50 sale,
yeah.
You're going to get somebody's attention.
Right. Yeah, and we don't often sell that whole harness out of that cab, but it does happen. And as those trucks get older now, when they hit about 12 to 15 years old, the selling of those will happen as cab replacements are being done on them as a whole cab. But you have your two options is that Cardash Part if you want to keep that factory stereo. The second option is get it into a car stereo repair shop where they might be able to do what the previous owner had, keep the head unit in the dash with navigation, whatever you had, all the factory interface, but get yourself an amp and speakers put in back there. They'll put a sub behind the seat. The third option is just take it all out, and a couple $1,000 would get you an in-dash, connect to the factory speakers with their bypass kit and maybe a small sub in the back and still have a nice stereo. But I'll bet they took it apart because they had an aftermarket in there, because there's nothing really to steal back there that somebody would want. They would have just
it's not valuable.
Right. But so I think if you get into a car stereo shop, they would be able to look at it and probably get you hooked up with an amp in there.
What is there anything else? Is there anything else that's not working?
Well, no, I went yesterday to get a key because I only had one fob, and so it's a push button. So I was going to get another fob programmed at a locksmith, and he said, "Yeah, I can do that for you." So he goes out, plugs into it, but it won't program the key. And so we got to talking about it and let him know that, hey, the receiver's missing out of the back because somebody stole it, and I'm trying to get that figured out. And he said, well, till you fix that problem, I can't get a key programmed because it won't communicate with the truck. And so my mind's wrapped around the fact, okay, then how come my regular fob already works, or how come everything on the screen, like backup camera, the heating and cool display comes up when you adjust your seats and the massage, and you can do all that through the. But
that'll work.
You can't program a key.
Yeah, so that'll work. But if the communication's down, if the information's already in there, think about it like a home computer that used to have a CD drive to put a CD in it. Well, if you've already got programs in the computer, you can run them. But if somebody opens that door and rips the CD drive out, you can't put anything new in it. So you're losing the communication port. Same way with that truck. But what they can do, you could just go down to Ace Hardware, have a clone key made of your key, And then that would work on the truck because it thinks it's got two of the same key in it and not two separate keys. So, yeah, just go down and go like to Ace, have them cut it, and they'll clone your original key, and then that will start.
Since you have one, you can do that.
Yep.
It's when you don't have one when it gets really ugly.
Right.
Russ, thanks very much for the call.
You're welcome.
Tell your dad we said hi. And thanks for listening. Thanks for the call. Hope we got you helped out there. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
With over 2,000 episodes and over 200 stations, Under the Hood has the knowledge to make your car feel good. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Now we're going to talk to Jim. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Jim, what can we do for you?
Well, I was listening last week when you were talking about the timing belt or the belt tightener on a Honda Accord, I think it was.
Right. We were talking about the external belt that runs the alternator and the power steering on cars and air conditioner and all that. And we were talking about the Dayco complete belt kit, which allows you to replace the whole system at once instead of just one piece and having it still
And we had the guy that had the rattly car on startup. That was the timing set.
Yep.
That was the other one
that was the timing chain.
Yes,
the
that was
timing.
a chain. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm just inquiring about a 2015 Honda Civic. I assume that has to have the same changes made or maintenance on that.
Well, there's no maintenance on either one if everything's working well. So like on the timing chain side, if there's no noise when you start it, the chain is meant to last the life of the engine. And with proper maintenance to the vehicle, 3 months, 3,000 mile oil changes on this specific car, longer drives, they'll typically last a very long time. And then even when they start rattling a little bit, we have a lot of customers that they've been rattling. They've got 300,000 miles on these Civics and CRVs and things, so they're fine. But as far as the belts go, when it does come time to replace a belt, which should come sooner than the time to change a timing chain, hopefully you never have to do that. But when you get to be, you're 11 years old already in the Civic, so it's getting real close to belt time. At that point, what we suggest is the belt kit that Dayco has. And we use those in our shop, so we don't have a customer say, well, I just need a belt. We put a belt on, they come back and say, well, it's still squeaking. Well, you didn't tell me it squeaked. Well, yeah, it squeaks sometimes in the morning. Okay, well, it needs a belt, and it needs a tensioner and the idler as a kit, and it's cheaper to get it all together. But now that you told me all you wanted was a belt, and you'd thrown one on, it's going to need more. So, yeah, we put the whole thing on.
We have not seen as many symptoms of a loose timing chain in these newer Civics as that particular Accord engine that somebody called about.
Stopped about 2018.
Yeah, so this is something I wouldn't be as worried about. If your car's running good and it's quiet, enjoy that smooth running Honda and keep an eye on your drive belts just like any other car, and let not your heart be troubled.
Jim, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Michigan and talk to Bill. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Bill, what can we do for you?
Good morning. Before I start, I want to confirm what you guys already know, that your call screener, Doug, is very helpful and easy to work with.
He's amazing.
Did he tell you to say that? Because he's
the
very,
one-step
He's
call
very
and
nefarious,
solution.
we discussed.
Here's my issue. I got a 2009 Chevy Impala with 125,000 miles. I got a P0172, which is a rich code. I've owned this car for about 3 years. It is a flex fuel vehicle. I've never run E85 in it. Get the same top tier gas from the same station all the time. In February of 25, I had a high alcohol content at 78%. The fix at that time was to reset the computer, and it went back to normal. I've got that same problem this month. Alcohol content shows 54%. I don't understand how that system works because it does not have an alcohol detector.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I wish they did. You will be number 3 this week so far of people that I've had to deal with this situation of. Yours I don't, because I'm not fixing it, but the other
you can
the other
use
two I
you can
do.
use anecdotal
Right.
help.
And
There you go.
so the systems don't use a sensor. When they use the sensor, the only problem they would ever encounter was that sometimes the sensor would fail. And that was rare. I think we probably still have some of them on our shelf from years ago because they just didn't fail very often. They were super expensive when they did.
I think that's why they took them off.
Yeah.
That part was expensive.
It was expensive
They
to put
saved
on.
a lot of money, they thought.
And they have the parts on the car already to do it. And most of them are working pretty good. But the problem is when you run in flex fuel, you need to run that tank of fuel all the way down to less than a quarter, like an eighth of a tank, and then fill it completely to the top with whatever fuel you choose. If you're going to switch that fuel to something else, you need to run it all the way back down to the eighth of the tank again and change it to something else. If you're going E85, E30, anything but E20 and below, you need to do that. But if you've already got 85 in it, you're going to just top off that tank with another 10 gallons, go ahead, put that in there, put the same thing. But if you want to switch to a different blend, it's got to go all the way back to zero. And people aren't doing that, and the computer gets confused because what it does is when it sees a fill up at the tank, so your fuel gauge is going at least a certain percentage of it. It's about 60%, I think, 60 to 80%. If it sees that much of a change when you restart the car, it knows you refueled it. And at that point, it looks at the oxygen sensor now compared to the oxygen sensor before that change occurred. And when it sees, whoa, we're really lean, we must have increased the alcohol content. Let's dump more fuel. Oh, but yours didn't switch back. But the other thing that can cause it is a dirty air intake system in the car. Mass airflow sensor dirty.
No, I've been through that. The hole in the boot or in the folds can sometimes...
That'll do it too.
Yeah. I've been through all of that. I guess my question to you, Russ, is should I change the oxygen sensors?
Well, so...
I've never run flex fuel in this car.
Okay.
I've had it about 3 years.
If you never run it in there, then the oxygen sensors can do this. The mass airflow sensor is the biggest. What we did to fix these other two cars was a new mass airflow sensor and a CRC emission system cleaning kit, which cleans we used it to clean the mass airflow sensor. We use the throttle body cleaner to clean the throttle body, and we use the injection system cleaner in the tank to clean the engine. And then we reset everything, and we're good. And I can instantly see what's going on with the fuel trims because the first thing I did, I looked and I said, here we go. We got high alcohol content, 80% in one and like 64, I think it was, or 62 in the other. So I reset that, and then I took it for a drive. After 10 miles, it was already creeping up past 30 on both of them. So I said, it's going to come back on in 2 or 3 days for this customer. After we did the mass airflow sensor and cleaned everything out, it stayed down at zero where it was supposed to. So
Are oxygen sensors a maintenance item?
they are late in life. When they get to the point where they're, 10 years old, 100,000 miles, they wear out. They've got zirconium in them, which wears as the sensor runs. It's made to dissipate. That's how part of the way the sensor works. So it wears out like a spark plug. So it's time to replace them. I just did a Buick. I don't know. I'm driving right now, Shannon. I don't
Lacrosse, Lucerne,
something. One of them. I'm just losing my mind today.
Envision.
There you go. Envision.
Okay.
A Buick Envision.
Okay.
I jumped the sport utility.
That fuel system was really dirty, but they'd been driving it till the check engine light came on, and then it was worse and worse, and then it started misfiring. Well, that thing ended up needing a mass airflow sensor, 2 oxygen sensors in it, and also injectors because it had 3 of the injectors that were so bad that they were starting to leak. So as you go, things pile up. But that's the oxygen sensors just worn from age. They get slow response, and you'll get a slow response code in them that if it's not caused by something else like a mass airflow or a vacuum leak, you can get that. So it's probably time on an 09 for some oxygen sensors on that car as well.
Okay, that's the direction, and I'll follow them.
All right.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150.
Haven't wars been fought over zirconium?
You're thinking about the, like Avengers. And
Yeah, in like sci-fi movies that I don't watch well
Unobtainium.
enough. Yeah.
Wakanda. Yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Three friends talking cars. You decide if they know what they're talking about. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Don't forget, if you miss an episode, you can get the show wherever you get your podcast. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel. And if you subscribe there, which we would very much appreciate, and join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
Like Larry Jameson from Amarillo, congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classics. They're celebrating over 50 years of collector car coverage. Check them out. We do. We did. We still do it.
We do.
We do.
We've done.
I don't.
Do it again.
I should. I mean, I want to, but I don't need it right now.
Yeah. Don't get sad, Chris. Please. Please.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Dale. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Dale, what can we do for you?
I talked with you guys last week. I had that 2001 Chevy pickup that was losing electricity overnight.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you had talked, about, well, you got to run down all the circuits and everything. And
Find out
then
where.
but you said as an alternative to just put a battery disconnect in.
Right.
Well, I called, one of your sponsors is that does remote starts and stuff. I called them. Well, do you have remote battery shutoffs? No, they didn't. And I called around a little bit, and I talked to my son, and he said, well, I can order it on Amazon. And that's what you guys had said too.
It's the only place I've seen
one. He ordered me one.
Yeah.
Well, they had several different, you could go from a $29 one to a $99 one. And we just kind of took one in the middle, a $50 one. And he had it the very next day. And I went over, and it was relatively easy. You just take your battery loose, and on the negative side, they send a post that you turn in to your battery, so your looms can hook onto it. And then you hook on the other side of the shutoff to your car wire originally that would have originally went on the battery, so you got an interrupter there. And the other side, the positive, you just put another wire from that little brain.
And has it worked?
Onto that. So it was relative. Yeah, it works just fine. And I'd like the Art Nordstrom light. So we put a little indicator bulb.
You listen very close.
In the grill?
Oh, and, perfect.
Well, on the front of this, it's got, on the grill, it's got a raised chrome. It's not really a strip. It's molded in. And when it gets over close to the headlights, it kind of swoops up.
Yeah.
But in that area, it turns into a hard plastic, kind of a smoke or dark brown piece of plastic. Well, I drilled through that little piece of plastic, and we put a little red indicator light there, so the light shines when the system is on. And the little box that you have to mount, then there wasn't really a good place to mount it. So my son just took a little piece of flat strap and welded it onto the rod that's across the top of the battery. So the battery can't jump up.
Down.
Well, we took the rod. We took the rod out of the truck. We didn't weld.
That's
above the battery.
a really good idea.
Not on top of the battery. Boom.
Well, this sounds like you guys had a little mechanical engineering project out of the deal, and you figured out how to make it all work. I'm gonna make sure my dad hears this about the Art Nordstrom light.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was maybe a Benji Steffes light.
I would have gone a little further, and I would have got one of those illuminated grill emblems.
Yeah, so your emblem would light up when you. Oh wow, listen to that.
Got to go fancy.
So okay, just bottom line. Thank you for the return call on that, but it's. You're using it, and your battery's not dead anymore. It's obviously this is a hack. It's not a a fix. It's a hack to make it not have the problem.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's what you wanted.
The only thing, then in the morning when I turn the system on and start it up, it always tells me it's midnight, my clock.
Yeah.
So I got to reset the clock every morning. But that's the only thing that, seemed to be affected by it.
Well, that's
because there are things in there that are going to rely on that battery storage
Right.
that are going to be affected here and there. But
is there any way around that? There's not, is there?
Not that I'm going to describe on the radio. It just takes too long.
I gotcha.
I mean,
There are ways.
There's probably a way to put a backup little battery in there.
You could just run that in there with a resistor or a diode in it one way. But what if the radio is what's drawing the current?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, now that I've fixed the radio battery back up,
Let's be happy where we're at.
Yeah.
Dale. Let's
leave it.
just leave it where we're at.
it was in the middle, $50.
50,
Yep.
Yes. And you know what? A lot of times when you go on that Amazon situation, look really close. It's the same part for $90. It's the same part for $30. It's just different people with different marketing approaches.
One company is Zucker and the other one is Zuckermerker. Right?
More gooder or betterer. We've seen the actual wording.
Chris, could
on
you say that
statement.
exact same thing again?
Mazurka and Zamurka.
Was that the same?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it was.
Dale, thanks very much for the call. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Christoph. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Christoph, what can we do for you?
Hey guys, good morning. So I'm going to call back to a couple of the other callers because it kind of touched on some things. I try to keep my alcohol content at 0%, but what I put in the fuel tank is a little questionable because I'm cheap. And my own lifetime timing chain is getting a little rattly too since I just hit 48 years old overnight.
Yeah, listen to this.
Maybe it's the vibranium that's chattering. I don't know.
You've been listening really close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I was looking at getting a special front camera potentially to add on to my 2015 Buick Enclave that embeds into that hollow spot in the Buick grill logo, so the emblem. But what I'm really calling about is the TPMS that keeps haunting me, the tire pressure monitor sensor. The right rear is out again, and I think Billion is going to be maybe replacing it for me underneath the AC Delco warranty for like the third time. And I don't know if this is maybe just like a tire related issue. It's I've only had the car for 2 years. So my overall question is, would it be wise for me to take it to the tire shop, get tires looked at, find out how soon those need to be replaced, and then if those need to be replaced, is that something that, they move the TPMS sensor into the same tire or have them aware of the issue, so if it gets relocated to a different tire, but they'll calibrate it? I don't know how all that works. So,
Yeah, you need to tell them you're having problems with one, and they're going to probably want to replace it. And I use in my shop, I use Autel sensors. They're not partners of ours. They're just nothing. I get them for an affordable price, and they've been out there forever. I sell them for an affordable price. Some shops are selling those things for crazy money, and I just tell people, hey, if your light's on, just wait until you need tires. And then they come back to me and they get the tires done, and we put in sensors. It's so much cheaper to do it while the tires are already off the car. I did on a Buick yesterday. We put 4 sensors in that because they were all showing low battery, and on cold days, it would give you bars across the dash and not read the sensor at all. Sometimes they'll show good battery and still not read when they get some age on them, but there's nothing that the tire can do to cause a sensor to go bad except for stop leak, fix a flat. You put that in the tire, you're going to probably ruin the sensor, and you're never going to fix it until you put a new tire on it and clean the wheel off, as it gets in the sensor portion of the tire pressure monitor sensor. But I don't know. The AC Delco sensor should be just fine. And if it's under warranty, by all means, let them get you another one for free. But there's nothing that could be happening on the car-wise causing that sensor to fail. The sensor's actually bad. And they can read it with a handheld scanner. They go around and read it. The car's not reading it. The scanner is. And if it shows that one's dead, it's the only thing it can be. It's that sensor because it's 100% self-contained, just connected right onto the valve stem there.
So those aftermarket sensors that you're talking about, if you were to purchase those as a car owner and then have the tire shop put those in with the new tires or just to replace them, those sync up to like the OEM monitor system. Okay.
Yeah, and actually you can interchange them between cars. So there's two sensors. You've got a 315 megahertz and the 400 range megahertz on almost all cars.
Yeah,
that have a sensor, that have a tire pressure sensor, and they have to be programmed when you put them in. So we have a handheld Autel device, and we have boxes of these sensors that we can program per car, as many as we need. And if you can buy it the other way too, where you buy one that's pre-programmed at, let's say, I think your car's 315 megahertz, but you pre-program it and then you just put it in and you do the relearn on the car and then it'll work. So if that shop doesn't use Autel sensors or they don't have the programmer, they can't program it. It's going to be useless. So you have to have one they call them like ready sensors. That's another brand. If you go to Advance Auto Parts, ask them what brands they have behind the counter for that. I don't think they have the AC Delco, but I believe they have Autel, and they've got some other TPS sensors that are ready to go sensors. So you purchase one, you put it in the car and it works. I've even had some where I've been trying to test a system when I thought I had an electronic issue, where I program 4 sensors on the bench or get those ready sensors, and you have to shake them because they've got a little ball bearing inside, and when it makes contact with the metal, it turns the sensor on. Otherwise, they'd go dead with your car sitting, right?
Sure.
So when it goes, it spins and turns it on. So I just shake them, and then I hit the relearn on the steering wheel, and I program each one of these sensors. Now, they're going to read 0, but they're going to read and say the sensor's good. Then I know, okay, I can go ahead and break these tires down and put these sensors in, and I'll be good. Why go to the work of mounting and balancing 4 tires, but basically breaking them down to put them in, and find out I've got a problem with the electronic receiver on the car, the wireless module. But on yours, I think you're going to find you got a bad sensor. Just one bad sensor. You know how electronics go. 3 in a row. That's the key.
Yeah. I really appreciate the info. Thanks, guys.
There you go. Thanks very much.
I don't think I've ever heard Russ explain what he just said as far as
I agreed.
The shaking them, testing them on the bench. I've heard him say shake them before, but never that's like plugging a fuel pump in before you put the tank back in.
And just to be clear, it sounds simple. It's very straightforward, but
it's simple if you've done it a dozen times.
And if you're not expecting, they're very expensive.
They can be.
I mean,
so I can tell you my sensors, they're about $75
a piece.
Yes, but they're 75, and then I put them in with if I'm putting a tire on it, there's no extra charge. I'm putting them in. But if you come in and say, I just want a sensor put in,
it's 75 plus
no,
breaking the
you're
tire
looking probably $150 a tire.
Yeah.
And some places get that $75 sensor, that same one, they're selling for $150.
And the only reason I bring that up is because when you find out what it is, they're going to go, oh, yeah, the battery's worn down. So you just need a new sensor. And that just need a new sensor is not
not that simple.
Right.
It's inside the tire. Just reach in there and grab it.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
If your Band-Aid can is empty because you have so many dash lights on, you need to call Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Now let's talk to Josh in Minnesota. Josh, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Appreciate it.
You bet.
I have a 2008 Hyundai Elantra that I actually talked to you guys a couple of years ago about putting a timing belt in, which I did do. And it's now got 340,000 miles on it. And so my question, I guess, is what do you think the odds are of it going to 400, and is it worth replacing on my own some of the suspension components and the kind of all around the car?
Well, I'm going to say you've officially involved yourself in a game now.
Yeah.
And you just have to decide if you want to win. And sometimes winning games comes at the expense of no logic.
Right. It's signing Don Baylor to play in 8 games so you win the World Series.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's an 08 Elantra. So you
how good? What's the?
It is a cheap car to start with.
You can't change that.
That's like saying, I'm 98 years old. How much longer do you think I'll live, Doc? I mean, am I going to make it another 15 years?
And should I replace my hip that has a little pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well,
should I buy new shoes?
Most
That's
of them
probably better.
don't make it this long, so yeah. Most people don't hit 95, so you're already pushing it.
Here's
Most
what I say,
Elantras
Chris,
don't.
what do you think?
I say, yeah, run this. Go now. Now the game isn't. Is it worth it? Now the game is how long can you go?
I know if it's quiet and it's not burning any oil and it's not using antifreeze. If it were me and it wasn't burning antifreeze and it wasn't burning oil, I'd pour a bottle of K-Seal Ultimate in that cooling system because we're looking for. I mean, what could happen? If it's noisy, something could fly apart and the motor's dead. But he's fixed that with the timing components. If it's got a cooling system that's starting to break down and you got a head gasket that's starting to leak, it's going to kill it. It's going to die. So I don't know, a bottle of K-Seal in there.
I'm going to
Keep
summarize
changing the
this.
oil.
I think I got this.
Drive it.
How many miles since you put the timing chain in or timing belt?
Timing belt was back at 275.
And how much? You're just closing in on 400 now?
No, it's 340. It's got 340 on it.
Okay, so you've got
So it's
Got some time left on that baby.
50,000 miles.
yeah, I think that
Yep.
when you go into a negotiation and you're willing to lose everything, you're a much better negotiator. So in this situation, what's the worst case scenario when the car dies? What's going to happen with it?
Send it to a junkyard, get 150 bucks.
Put your money on the table and let her ride.
Yeah.
That's where you're at. I mean,
Yep.
but if you wanted to get real crazy because you know you can do it, you've done the timing belt once already, you could do it again.
But he's not up to time to change it yet. But I'd put the K-Seal in it.
Yeah, and then just go.
That's it. Is it burning oil?
No, it doesn't burn oil, and the coolant really hasn't dropped much. It's just getting awfully when you go over a bump, she chatters.
Yeah, I'd be more worried about your
Just 'cause the
safety
thing's wore
than the
out
engine
underneath.
right now. If you've made it that far, you're playing with house money.
Fix those things, K-Seal in the engine, and
Yep.
drive it and call us in another 2 years and let us know that you got
Just
another
don't have a
80,000
dramatic
on it.
suspension problem because I have seen a couple of them along the road. Make sure they're checking the ball joints. Make sure on the control arms.
So with that, can you get the cheap Amazon package that comes with everything and throw that on there, and that would be better than nothing, or are you better to go off with like
For what?
a
For what
Rock
problem?
Auto,
For
daily
suspension.
driver level?
For suspension?
I was thinking, like the lower A arms, ball joints, struts, and then shocks in the back.
Just
You
inspect
said the
them.
key word, better than nothing. But do what Shannon says. Look at it and see what you probably got 1 or 2 parts that are bad. And if it's just 1 or 2 parts, go get some that won't kill you, like the ones from Advanced Auto Parts. I don't trust. I've seen so many of those parts put on where a customer comes in and says, I was like, hey, your ball joints are bad. Yeah, I just put those on. Well, when? 2 months ago. Where'd you get them? Amazon. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, some people throw them on so they could sell the car the next day, and that seems to be fine. But still, what are you leaving it for some?
The ones that are the high wear items that have a history of being a problem, you can go to dormanproducts.com's website. And if they sell it, that means it's a part that commonly fails, or else they wouldn't sell it. Look up the year, make, and model, and see what parts are available. And that's usually a pretty key indicator of parts that potentially are serviced a lot in the industry because they need them.
Sure. Nope, that makes sense.
Did you have another question there, Josh?
And then one quick clarification. I did. Yep. Just a clarification. So I have an 01 Chrysler Town and Country, 96,000 miles. Looking to just do my 100,000 mile maintenance. You guys would recommend a transmission flush over a transmission drain and fill on that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you want to get all of it out on that one.
Is there any concern of causing more troubles by doing a flush versus a drain and fill?
If the fluid is completely black because you've gone way too long and you've got it overheated and burnt the
25
fluid.
years.
No, if you've got it way too long, meaning like you've run it, overheated it, turned it black. But if it's just a darkish, like a reddish orange color, it should be fine for a flush. That's not going
Okay,
to be what
yep.
takes it out.
And with the Chryslers, you
Okay, yep, and
just
that's
make
what it
sure
is,
that
so.
just make sure that when they're doing the flush, they'll be able to find this out. Make sure you have good flow. That's the whole idea. You want good chemical package rebuilt, refreshed in there with that fresh fluid, and then you just got to make sure you got good flow. Make sure there's not a bypass valve or a thermostatic control or something in line that's causing problems after that flush. Just make sure the flow is right.
If it's not good, just go get yourself a prescription for some of that, Flomax or whatever, and just write down the old
They don't have that for the
transmission.
Josh, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. He's taking care of his 01, getting that 100,000 in there. And
96,000 in 01 Town and Country is quite low.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's talk to Scott in North Carolina. Scott, you're on the End of the Hood show. What can we do for you?
Hey, guys. I sure appreciate you taking my call.
You bet.
I've got a 2015 Buick Encore with the Lego engine in it, all plastic. And I've got an overheating problem. And my son's a mechanic. And when I bought the car, it had the green antifreeze in it. And his first recommendation was that we go ahead and do a flush. So we spent a whole Saturday completely flushing the motor out, put the orange in there, and that seemed to solve the problem. Well, it took on that little whistle where the PCV is built into the intake. So I took it to my mechanic of 30 years, and he replaced all that, got rid of the whistle. I decided, well, the water pump was making a little grumbly sound, so we put a new water pump on it, and then we put new thermostat in it and all the housing and all the stuff that goes with that. And now it overheats. And what it does is I can let it sit in the driveway, idle. It'll idle for an hour and run perfect at about 210, 215 in that neighborhood. And then as soon as I take it on the road, get 5-10 miles up the road, it pegs out hot. It'll run up. I put my scan tool on it. It runs all the way up to like 230, 240. I've even had it as high as 250. And then it'll drop back down. Just put yesterday my 4th thermostat in it. I got one of the metal thermostats as opposed to a plastic one. Still does the same thing. And I'm in so far deep into this car now that I'm just like, I've been all over the internet, every YouTube video. There's very little about these things on there.
Because they don't break.
Just keeps saying replace the thermostat.
Scott, one thing that I will just throw out for other listeners in there, and Russ, if I'm wrong, correct me quickly. When you bought that as a 2015 and it had green antifreeze in it, somebody was already messing with that vehicle before you got it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I don't know if I didn't know other people caught that key indication because it doesn't come with green antifreeze.
When you're driving it down the road and it overheats, if you pull over and leave it running, does it cool down?
Yes and no. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't.
Okay.
And it after I put this last thermostat on it, it started throwing a P0597, which says replace
Regular.
the thermostat. So,
well, that's because it saw the
yesterday,
temperature fluctuate so much. There's 2 things you need to do to this right away. Step 1, you need to get yourself one of those little handheld temperature guns, the laser pointer, and while the engine's running in the driveway, idling, check each radiator hose in and out and make sure you've got a good temperature drop across the radiator. If you find it's 215 going in and 212 coming out with the fans running, that's not enough. That radiator is plugged. But before you go putting a radiator in, you need to do the exhaust gas check of the coolant to make sure it doesn't have a head gasket out. That could be restricting the coolant flow, causing those readings because there's no actual coolant flowing. It's just sitting there getting hot. So check the exhaust gases, make sure there's a little test for that. They're about $50. Pick that up, try it, and then check that temperature in and out. And that'll tell you if it's an engine or...
Put a bottle of K-Seal in it.
Scott, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. That's going to do it for Hour 1. Hour 2 is coming up of the Under the Hood Show.
You're listening to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master Certified Technician with extensive factory drivability training. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value and as a guide to your repair needs. No guarantee to repair or cause is given or implied. Always check with your favorite certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting repair. The Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics is reproduced and distributed by Prairie House Productions. Have questions for the Motor Medics? Call our 24-hour toll-free number, 866-594-4150. All content of the Under the Hood Show is the property of Nordstrom's Incorporated. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive and may be reproduced with our permission. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter, here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. Got some calls coming in from all over. Should we get right to them?
Of course we should.
I knew you were going to say, I would have been surprised if you would have said no. Not Dave.
No, let's make them hear us talk for 20 minutes before we go to the calls.
Not Dave, for sure. But I'm going to do it. Let's go talk to Dave in Maine. Dave, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I got a 2019 Tacoma. And my question is, so the truck runs a 20-weight oil, 0W20. And I'm just wondering if I should put an oil additive into that. It seems like I hear you guys talk a lot about adding something to that 20-weight oil. And I'm just wondering, the motor sounds a little louder than I would think you'd hear. It's a little ticking, so I just didn't know if it's worth putting some oil additive in to add something to that 20-weight oil.
The Tacomas and the Toyotas have been pretty good oil system wise. We don't see very many oil system failures with those vehicles at all, and therefore they're typically fine with just regular oil changes. Now, regular ones, not like 6,000 to 8,000 miles or whenever that thing's coming on the dash. You need to be a little sooner than that, but they usually hold up pretty good. If this was a different manufactured engine from somebody else that was known for oil system issues, I'd say yes, an oil additive would be a good choice. A Justice Brothers heavy-duty vehicle, something that has something to take the place of the missing lubricants that were added to oils in the past. But with this vehicle, they're pretty good oil system-wise. If something goes bad inside, it's usually a failure of a part that's not caused by oil damage, just because of its quality of manufacture.
What about the noise?
Yeah.
Will it quiet it down?
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what the noise is.
Right.
If it's what it's caused by, I should say.
Can you give us a little more on what that noise might be, just to kind of tease us?
Where it's coming from?
Well,
Up
it's just
high,
a little
low.
like tick, tick, tick,
Okay.
I think, and I heard another Toyota, same vintage, that sounded the same, so...
If it's coming from the lifters on the upper end of the engine, then a product like Hot Shot Secret Lifter Tick Fix could fix that. Well, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Lifter Tick Fix could fix.
Yeah.
If it would fix,
Well
could fix
done.
wood or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, it could be. It could be a little bit of just buildup in there. I don't know if you've owned it since new or not, but sometimes people go really long on oil changes and they can build up stuff. And that's what it's made for, to help condition seals.
Is he in any
on
risk
things.
of doing, if he does do something?
It's not going to hurt it by
Okay.
putting anything in
Okay.
it. No. So
And you're aware of the difference between like a high-pressure injector noise versus a tick? Sometimes people will get that confused.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, just making sure. Because, for some
Right.
people, they just haven't heard that. The newer high-pressure fuel injectors, they make enough noise that you sometimes go,
Oh.
It turns your head sometimes.
Especially if you leave the engine cover off. Ooh, boy, that got loud. And the Pontiac, remember
Oh.
that? That was crazy.
you thought something was broken, and
Yeah.
I said, "Oh yeah, this cover."
What is your oil change routine?
It's every 3,000. I mean, the truck's only got 65,000 on it. I just bought it a couple of years ago, and it only had 62 on it at that point. So I haven't had it that long.
And which motor is it? Is it the 4-cylinder?
The 6, the V6, I guess.
Okay. Well, like Russ said, it'd be you could sure give it a try on one of your oil changes and see if it quiets down. The Hot Shot Secret product would be a good one to choose, and just see if it changes. And you say you've heard other ones kind of the same. It goes away pretty darn quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it said the truck sounded like it was a Tacoma. I think it's the same vintage, and the motor sounded the same. So, I was driving a Chevy for years before that. The motors sound different. So it's new to me. Toyota's new to me. So that's all.
You're most likely just fine, but there's nothing hurt by trying that to see if it quiets up a little. In case there is a little bit of it sounds like you got a great routine. You're doing things well above most.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be dirty in there, but you could try it. But it might just be the way that is set up in there too.
Dave, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Craig. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Craig, what can we do for you?
Good morning. I have a 2024 Mazda.
Call is being recorded.
The CX-30 with only about 15,000 miles on it. It's got automatic door locks where you set it in the menu system of the infotainment center, and you close the door and walk away, and it locks the doors automatically. However, that only works about 85 to 90% of the time, and that's actually increased. It was about 70% of the time. I did not buy the car from the local Billion dealership or Mazda dealership in town. I bought it out of town, and I'm wondering if that has anything to do with their diagnosis. They hook it up to the computer and say, yeah, we're not getting any codes, and then they call it good.
No, it would not. It should not, would not, because a dealer, whatever town they're in, wherever they are, they work at the pleasure of the manufacturer, in a sense.
Who's just one.
And
there's only one.
And so if there was a problem like that, it would sniff itself out with reviews and people having problems. And we've got a good dealer network in our town. And so it's just important that you follow up on it to make sure if you don't feel like you're getting resolution. But I think you got to give them a chance to get some resolution on there, because it is. Can you explain the problem one more time, just quickly? I just want to hear it through one more time if there's any odd circumstances or anything about it.
Yeah, and so it's had this issue since it was new. I've had it into the dealership a number of times. And it's got a setting where you just close the door and it automatically locks it after a few seconds. You walk away and it locks the door. You get the key fob far enough and it locks the door. It only does it about 85 to 90% of the time. And I say only because it just gets under my skin, you see.
Oh, though it's the 10% of the time, you probably got the expensive jewels in the back seat.
Right.
Correct. And so I have to walk back and lock it. It's one of those things that they haven't been able to figure out exactly. They've kept it for several days once. Otherwise they just plug it into the computer, don't get a code, and send me home again. Which really,
they can't get a code.
Yeah, Russ, explain what's going on here.
So this is the biggest problem that all mechanics everywhere in the whole world face. When a car comes in, there's a symptom described by the owner of the vehicle or the driver of it, but it can't be duplicated in the shop. They do not see it occurring. So if they don't see it occurring and the system of the car thinks that it's operating normally, it can't be found. It's impossible to find it. And what is happening is you have a system that is looking for a signal from any and all key fobs that are attached to that vehicle leaving the area. So if you've got two of them with you, they need to go at the same time. If you've got one, it needs to go, and it needs to get far enough away. And once it breaks the connection, At that very precise moment is when it will lock the doors. If it sees any kind of glitch or any other interference at the time, it won't work. And this has been a problem with a number of cars. GM had it with the Corvette and Camaros and different things with proximity remotes, they call them key fobs. That's why, with the key fob in your pocket, you can go up and push the button on the door and it unlocks. If you read any electronic device on the back of it, it'll have a little FCC, it'll say FCC, and it says, this device must not interfere with any other electronic device and must accept all interference from other devices. What that means is they don't have to fix it. If it's interference from something else and there's nothing wrong, they may not be able to do, well, they can't do anything unless they see either a code or they have a history of this with enough cars that they've been able to repair, or they see it doing it on yours so they can actually, every time it does it, every single time they walk away, oh, it's not working. Well, let's check it out. Let's look at the scanner data while they're walking away. Oh, I didn't see us lose contact. What's going on here? So they can do that. But until they can duplicate it, they've got a problem. Now, with all that said, if you've got a car under warranty and a factory system is not working, they've got two choices. So the dealership has nothing to do with this. It's going to be on the manufacturer. So the dealership, let's say you've come into me at the dealership 5 times. I'm like, I can't fix this. What do? We elevate this to an engineering call to Mazda. And they say, oh, that's crazy. Have you done all these things? Yes, we've done it all. All right, we're going to have to send an engineer out. The guy comes in like a traveling salesman. They look at the car. They say, we can't fix it. If they say they can't fix it, they either have to compensate you in a way for not having that feature because it's under warranty, or they have to fix it. There's got to be a resolution one way or the other. And I've seen it happen from on the extreme ends. They buy a car back because they can't, oh, yeah, that's one where we've tried to fix this issue with the transmission 6 times. And
happens very seldom, but it does happen.
So we'll buy it back. Very rare it's something small, but I have seen working at a Ford dealership years ago where a system would not work on the car, and it was something minor like that where it wasn't big, like a tire pressure monitor or something. And they said, well, okay, we're going to give you a credit for this to fix it because you've been a loyal customer and you bought the car new from us. When they're not purchased, they're new. They really get out in the woods, but they will look. I mean, they'll do everything they can, but the dealership, it's not on them. If they plug a scanner in and it says that thing is clear, it's right up the line to the bigger one.
I will say, if you had bought 20 cars from them in the last 5 years and they knew you really, really well at the dealership, they might try a little bit harder just because there's a salesman pushing them saying, hey, we've got to. Oh, yeah. But they're still fighting the same battle. It's just, you know what I mean?
Those cars that don't have anything wrong with them when they actually come in that we can see, those drive me nuts.
Craig, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Sorry we couldn't be more definitive there. I'll tell you what you can do, though. You go into the menu, turn off that feature, and then convince yourself that it's by choice, and you didn't like that feature anyways, and that's why you turned it off.
I love that feature on my pickup. I just love it.
And I
have it, but I always hit the lock button, too. I'm just like, honk, 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 honk.
I always try to see how far I can get away from the car before it honks.
Take off, shut the door, and run away.
See, it was like in my parking lot, I kind of know about where I can be. And I'm fast today.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Mark. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Mark, what can we do for you?
So I got a auction coming up, and there's a 2012 Dodge Ram pickup, and I'm just wondering if there's anything I need to look for or anything notable in engines or transmissions that I should stay away from. The thing is, I can't get a hold of them to find out what engine's in it, so I don't even know what engine's in it.
Is there a VIN number posted?
First of all, don't call a radio show and tell everybody that there's a 2012 Ram pickup at an auction, because now everyone's going to go look. Yeah, you just bid yourself right out of this thing.
Yeah.
Is there a VIN? Is there a VIN number posted?
Pickup. There is not.
Does it say Hemi on the side?
Yeah.
On the fender?
Does it, that, or does it have a license? If it has a license plate on it, then there's VIN decoders online that you put the license plate in the state and it'll just give you the VIN. Doesn't tell you who owns it, but it'll give you a VIN with an engine size.
Is it a 1500 truck or a 2500 truck? What is it?
It's a 15 half ton.
Okay, so it could have a couple different options there.
If it's not, if it's just a 12, more than likely it's got a 5.7 in it, Hemi, unless it was like a Rebel or something like that. Those newer ones, and that'd be newer than that typically. But those trucks, some of those had V6.
Yeah, did they do that in 12 or
no? I think that was 16 that they first came out.
I remember when they started that.
Yeah,
and I know they don't have the e-assist yet. That wasn't until a little bit later with the
12,
hybrid assist.
But we got a 12 up there for an engine right now and an 11. So more than likely this is going to be a V8.
Yeah, a Hemi.
I don't know. I can't tell you the last time I saw a 6-cylinder in one of those. Yeah.
If it is a Hemi, I guess the biggest thing that for me,
you better hear it run before
have it start up. And if you could be the first one there to start it, would be great. Just to see what the startup noises sound like and make sure it doesn't have. If you hear top end noise like lifters and that sort of thing, it's a strong possibility that it could have a lifter or a cam issue. If it rattles pretty good when it starts.
It only has 51,000 miles on it.
That's a good mileage indication. That's for low mileage. Is it a fleet truck or is it more of a person mover, a person's personal truck?
Yeah, it's a personal truck.
I'm going to just read between the lines. If this is part of like an estate sale or something like that, not being not being a fleet truck. I've been around a little bit, and as you say, what color is it? If it's not white, I was going to just keep going with it. But that is more than likely somebody's baby, and it was probably really, really, really well cared for a 12 with that low miles, and going to assume that was a person that was a little bit older that probably just really was careful with their stuff. It's probably a truck that's going to be really nice, and you do want to hear it start up yet though, because we've seen really nice trucks with cam problems.
Maybe that's why it's got low miles. It blew up in the park.
Probably not, but I mean, those are always the oddball situations you're looking out for.
But again, we got 2 here now and 2 more coming. It's worth putting an engine in it. If that body looks that good, get it for the right price.
Is the truck is, transmission fluid 12, does that have a dipstick in it? Should transmission dipstick. Look at the color of it, make sure it's not stinky. If it's not, it's probably fine. My guess is that's probably a really nice truck, and you have indicated to a bunch of people, if they know what area you're from, that are going to now search the internet for a truck with 51,000 miles.
I'm not interested at all, except now I want to see if I can find this truck online.
He's in Saskatchewan, Canada, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it says up there? Yeah.
Yep, exactly. How'd you guys know?
Caller ID.
Yeah, that's great. So you better check, make sure it's kilometers and not miles.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
But starting it up, hearing it run,
that's going to be your
number one.
quick indication. If it's quiet on startup, I mean, you might get, if it's been sitting and you're the first one there, it could have a little bit of dry startup that might give it a quick little bit. But if it's carrying on with some noise as it runs, and it doesn't quickly go away, be a little nervous.
Mark, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Let us know if you get it. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Bob. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Bob, what can we do for you?
Hey guys, having a great day here. Say, got a 2020 Super Duty. Got a couple questions. First of all, diesel, the injector motor or the injector pumps. I've been reading some stuff. My brother had issues with his about the dryness, and they're using a lubricity product, an additional lubricity product to protect the pumps. Do you guys recommend something? Am I, out of line as far as that being an issue with injector pumps at all? Or
do it on every vehicle that has a diesel engine in it. I don't care what it is. You can put the Hot Shot Secret EDT Everyday Diesel Treat in there. You've got to keep that pump lubricated in the injectors.
Every tank.
Every tank, no matter what. It's super important. You've got to keep that thing lubricated. The fuel is just not the quality that it was in the past. And I say quality. it doesn't contain the additives. Of course, the quality is the same, pretty much, of the basic fuel, but the additives is different. They've taken sulfur out. They don't lubricate like they used to. So you're of course,
it's called what? Hot Shot?
Hot Shot Secret, HSS, everyday diesel tree. They claim that the trucks now are built better. The pumps and stuff are built better. Well, of course they have to be, because they've built them the way they used to before 07 when that changed. They would just all burn up. All the pumps would go out. All the injectors would go out. So, yeah, they make them a little better, but not that much better. They don't last forever. I see injectors out. I see pumps out. I see so many issues.
When you look at what the cost is and the problems that can create if that pump goes out, that high pressure pump goes out, the material that sheds into the system, it becomes a thousands and thousands of dollar fix, because it starts taking out injectors, it starts taking out other pumps. So that investment in the fuel additive is your relative that advised this. You just go ahead, when you guys sit down at the next holiday, tell them thank you.
Yep. Bob, I have to have you hold on right there for a second. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get your next question. And we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Guaranteed car repair advice or double your free back. This is Under the Hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. Don't forget, if you ever miss an episode or part of an episode, or you just stop listening because you're mad at us for a while and then you want to come back and give it a shot.
Don't forget us.
You can get the show wherever you get your podcasts, and you can watch the show on our YouTube channel. If you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which you should do, please, you also can sign up to be part of the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, which just gives us your address so we can send you a free hoodie if you win it.
Like Daniel Schlesinger. I hope you're not related to the old lady who was the doctor. So never mind. Anyways, we'll take that hoodie back. Probably not.
Speaking of not forgetting.
I'm just giving you crap.
No.
Congratulations from our friends over at Berkeley One Classics, celebrating over 50 years of collector car coverage.
That's crazy.
We didn't have hoodies back then.
Here's what's crazy. Here's the crazy part about that. That's not that long ago. That's the 70s. That's not long.
We're going out to clean up ditches tonight as part of our Earth Day efforts. All of the employees that can help, and I had to call my wife because I forgot my hoodie this morning, because it's gonna be kind of cool tonight, I think. 'Cause I said, "Bring my hoodie."
There you go.
We're gonna bring out that hoodie, but I told her to grab one of the originals, because I don't know what kind of mess I'm gonna get into in the ditch.
Uh-huh.
So you're going to destroy a classic? Why don't you get the new one that's replaceable?
I got one classics that's pretty destroyed already.
Oh.
And so I'm going to bring that out.
Does it say "I'm a hoodie" on the back of it?
It does.
That's old then.
Yeah, the elastic's wearing out on the sleeves. There's bleach splattered on it in a couple places.
Do you handle organic material too? Like,
we do not take dead animals.
Okay, that was my question. Yeah.
There's a large one right by the bridge.
Oh, you should have seen the car that hit it.
Did you work on it?
No, I just was coming to work a couple days ago, and I saw deer and car within about 30 feet of each other, so it just blasted it, pulled over, and stopped, and it wasn't. I thought it was drivable. It looked like a headlight. Maybe there wasn't any fluid on the ground, so maybe you'll see if there was fluid on the ground tonight.
Well, we'll have a close look at it.
Those deer hits, when people hit them, it sometimes makes me funny doing this CSI in my head as I drive by, and I go, why is that car stopped when it hit the deer and it just broke a headlight? Or other things like on our road coming in, there are one set of dually black marks that are about 80 feet long on one side of the road, but not on both. And there's no vehicle there, and there was nothing hit. So I'm like, what just all of a sudden causes a back wheel? Was it a trailer? And maybe one set of wheels locked up on one side for that period. They drug it, and then it was fine.
They definitely have some flat spots.
You just see weird marks on the road.
You should go along on the ditch cleaning and have your own CSI about why is this in the ditch here?
Yeah.
Where's the other shoe?
Why? They were getting frisky, but no.
How are they walking without this prosthetic leg?
How many shooters of Lord Calvert can be thrown out by the same bridge?
Didn't you find a number of years ago? Didn't you find a car part from our business with
yeah.
a tag on it still.
A guy had rolled out of the back. It was a rim. It had rolled out of the back guy's pickup.
Yeah,
and he never found it.
Yeah, we're like,
he came and bought another one.
Here it is.
We got a hold of him. We called him. Had fun with it. But it was, the things you find are
Did
crazy.
you find a? Okay, I'm totally out, and this should be for the after show. But didn't you find like a prosthetic leg or something that one year?
There was a prosthetic. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, like an arm or a leg or something in the ditch. Okay, now I'm done. Let's.
There's just crazy things. And so get involved in a ditch cleanup, and you'll be.
It's fun. I hate this arm. Out the window. I had my arm. Don't keep your arm out the window. That's how you lost it in the first place.
Man, I hope Bob's other question was good enough to wait through all this. You know what I mean? What if he's like, never mind. I was just going to ask you about batteries and my key fob. Bob, do you have another question about your truck?
I'm laughing at your dialogue here. It's a kick out of you guys.
It's free advice, but there is a cost.
Yeah, there we go.
Blue UV vodka was the hit last year. Shooters of those were in one area. Somebody's got a problem. They were all in the same area of the ditch, like a daily shot or something. I don't know.
Had to throw it out before his wife.
No, that's right. I mean, it was bad enough that he littered.
Must be local, man.
Yeah,
Must be local.
We could trace it, but we chose not to.
Yeah, quick question again. I'm following up. I called a couple months ago about rear tail light full of water, and the side sensor came on, which of course caused the whole interior. The windows didn't work. The radio, the climate control, everything went off, and then it'd come on again, then it'd go off again, and it ended up being the harness actually that goes from the the back tail light where you plug it in to the sensor inside. So I got a new sensor, got a new harness, put everything together. I had to have it reprogrammed. And by God, I thought I had it. Worked for 1,000 miles, and all of a sudden it all starts happening again. And I'm just wondering, the tail light itself, apparently there's a sensor built right in the tail light that the module inside the tail light reads. Is that how I get it? Again, on this 2020 Super Duty and most of these Fords.
There is. My neighbor just had to buy a tail light. He had a board on a trailer break the tail light, and he's like, "Oh, that can't be. Maybe a couple $100." It was $700 for that tail light assembly because the sensors within the tail light, and it happens so often that picking up a used one is still pretty expensive if you got to ship it. Unless you can walk in and get it on the counter, then you could save a couple $100. But if they look good, there's nothing that wears in them. So if it looks good, it's still worth some good money.
Yeah, and if you look at your taillight on your Ford, and it has the little, like the wireless signal or radar signal on it, that means it's got the radar sensors in the taillight.
It's got to be programmed. You got to program a taillight. Wow.
Yeah, that's weird.
And that's it. And we reprogrammed everything. Actually had to have the Ford tech come out and reprogram it with the new module and the new harness. And by God, everything worked. Took it out on a trip, 1,000 miles into the trip, all of a sudden, boom, she starts doing the same thing again. Blind spot detector comes on, and then the tire pressure sensor monitor lights flashing, and the radio quits working.
Was it raining?
It does work on the.
Had it been raining?
Not raining. No, I sealed up the tail light actually, put some silicone around it because it was full of water before, and that's what caused all of this. And the harness in it.
Oh, you haven't replaced it?
Corroded to where the wires. I've replaced everything but the tail light.
No. You got if you had water in it. Yeah, if you had water in the tail light, you're going to need to replace that tail light.
That actual tail light.
Yep, you're going to have to replace that if you had water in there because that'll cause that issue. And then make sure you use some dielectric grease in the connector when you put it back together. I got CRC dielectric grease all over the shop, and it's anytime we've got something like that, because it's grease, water disperses, oil disperses water, so goes in the plug. And
Russ, is there any chance if that was yours before you spent big money on a taillight that you
try to dry it out again?
You would somehow try to dry it out or bring it inside and take it apart?
Yeah, I might take it out of the truck and on a nice sunny day when it's like 90 out, lay it there face up so the sun is beating right down into it and heating it up. That's about the equivalent of putting it in an oven at 120 degrees, because it's going to get like sun going in. Or if you put it, set it on somewhere in a car where the sun's directly on it with your windows up where it's nice and hot in there, where it's not going to melt it, but still get good and hot and try to get the moisture out of it. You could try because it's a lot of money, those $700.
Bob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck having it fixed. I bet it's more of a problem now that he had it fixed for a minute and then it.
Yeah, and there's a chance that there was a little weird resistance in the circuit and the programming got messed up and he could try it again, but I would definitely try to dry that taillight intensely versus what he probably did already. Just another level of just trying.
No hurt.
Take it into the bathroom where there's one of them really loud hair dryers. Just genuflect there and just hold it for hours.
Oh, you mean like in the restaurant?
Yeah.
I've used ours to dry some parts.
Yeah, something like that. I know you got to think outside the box on this one.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Don. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Don, what can we do for you?
Well, a few years ago, like 7, I had the bright idea of putting a Roush supercharger on a F-150 5-liter. And it's worked marvelously. I have about 62,000 on it. But now it's way too loud, and the little butterfly valve in there doesn't hold shut. I'm wondering what you guys would recommend as far as maybe putting on 2 more mufflers or resonators or something like that.
It's too loud. You're too old, they say.
Sell it.
I don't. Usually the hearing goes, so it gets quieter as you get older.
When I called Roush, they said, we've never had that request before.
Yeah, they say, can you make this quieter? Said no one who ever put on a supercharger.
Right.
Is the supercharger noisy or is the exhaust noisy?
The exhaust.
Yeah, you could put more mufflers on it. You got to be careful with what you do though, because if you get too much on there and you start getting back pressure, the back pressure is going to make you have to change your tuning. So if you put them on and you notice there's a great decrease in power, you might need to retune it a little bit. But there's muffler systems out there that you can put on that decrease noise without adding a ton of back pressure. They just absorb it through the sides, like glass pack mufflers absorb the sound as it resonates through it, but it's still, you can see through the center of it. If you get a turn muffler where it goes in and makes turns, every time it makes a turn, it makes it quieter. So that creates some back pressure as it's going through, but they've got different.
I remember my wife and I fixed up a repairable
Tahoe
01 Yukon Tahoe, and it had aftermarket muffler. It sounded so cool when you started it up. It was like a good old V8 sound. But boy, it didn't take me long rumbling down the interstate with a car seat in the back and the kids to realize that I'm too old for this. Let's go find a factory exhaust and put back on it.
I got a great story about that vehicle now that I think about it for off the air.
Okay.
You guys would love it.
Does that help you out there, Don?
It does. Roush did say that the computer will tune itself somewhat. And would you think that would probably be correct?
Well, yeah, but if you go messing with an intake system or an exhaust system on a vehicle, sometimes that's too much for the fuel trim to overcome.
Yeah. Don, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Want to know what these guys are really about? Take a look under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the End of the Hood Show. Let's go to Nebraska and talk to William. You're on the End of the Hood Show. William, what can we do for you?
Okay, I've got a 2012 Kia Sorento, and I keep blowing a 10-amp fuse on a modular 2 circuit that's right underneath the dash and interior. And I've disconnected the heat or the seat heater wire. I disconnected the parking assist wire, and it's still, and sometimes I can drive for 2 or 3 days, and next time I can go 100 feet and it blows a fuse. Where do you think I should be looking for this? I've been under the seat, but I can't find anything that looks like a bare wire.
The first step is to get a power distribution diagram. You might be able to find one on the internet if you look hard enough. We find them on our repair systems that we pay hundreds of dollars a month for, and this is why. And it will start from the battery, get to where it has to go to get to that fuse, and then it branches off, and it will show you exactly what circuits are powered by that fuse. And sometimes we're surprised and think, well, why does that power it? Because it goes through, let's say, another fuse and then powers something else. So you think that's the fuse that's going to blow, but maybe somebody's changed it to a bigger one, or the fuse is just stronger than it should be, and it's blowing that main fuse that's going to your seat or whatever you think it might be. Then once you isolate it, if we isolate it, let's say one goes to the radio backup, one goes to the dome lights, one goes to the seat or whatever it is, parking, we need to check each one of those circuits. We physically inspect it. First, I go to the component it feeds because that's the easiest. If it's a seat, let's unplug it. Does it still blow? Yes. Okay. Parking assist, let's unplug it. Still blow? Yeah. Dome lights, we unplugged it. Oh, it's not blowing a fuse. I've driven it a month, no fuse blowing. Now we're going to go to each light socket and look and see if there's a short in the socket. That's the most common area to go bad because it's the part that moves. It's the end user point. If you don't see anything there, then you've got to really start digging, pull carpet back, pull panels off, and see if you got a wire where it's chafed. And that's the hard part. But we always start with a distribution diagram to find out what is fed by that system. Usually those diagrams are pretty good. Sometimes they're a little off. I used one on Monday this week that I had to very thoroughly go through every circuit, trying to find out why I had no power at a transmission control module. Vehicle wouldn't start. And I finally traced it back and said, I don't have it here, but I have it here. It's got to be in between. I opened up the wiring, looked in that area, and that's where I found my issue. But I never would have found that without a diagram to give me an idea of what was going on.
Russ, I didn't catch what circuit he said it was. What did you say, William?
I said a mod circuit. I'm not sure.
What circuit did you say it's labeled as?
Module 2 is a 10 amp fuse.
Yeah, and see, there's dozens of modules in that car, so it depends on which module it is. Now, if you read the power distribution diagram, it'll say, circuit 14 mod 2 is this module, circuit 8 mod 2 is a different module. So you've got it. They're just abbreviating.
Well, and with just a 10 amp fuse, it's more than likely not something like heated seats, or because those have got a much higher amperage on them.
It could be the module for the heated seats, but not the actual power. Like with a air conditioner, you've got a blower fuse that might be 40 amp or 30 amp, and you've got the module fuse for it, which is 10.
More research required for sure.
Is there
power distribution?
Is there a way to get a diagram to pay? I mean, he can't walk into your shop and go, "Hey, I'll give you $10 if you show me the diagram."
You come in and give me $10, I'll print it off for you.
Yeah. Okay.
The one page of power distribution. Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
I mean, I'm paying like what, $6.90 a month for that subscription with my invoicing right now. It's like, if I can make $10, I mean, I'll sit there all day long. If I could print 10 of those out an hour.
William, I'll do it for 15, and then I'll just I'm making $5 in this thing. Shannon, that's how it
you
works.
You could just show up in the afternoon and be the printer.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, just for all to know, we don't want to be in this business.
No. But I've had people where, I mean, it depends if I got to print out like 5 or 6 pages because it's like this whole circuit, it's like you're going to be $20, $30, whatever. But where can you get that? Right. I would gladly pay that for if somebody could have given me the diagram for my furnace when it went out 3 years ago.
Right,
I would have paid him $50 for it because I can get it because it's only available to dealers.
William, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Brian in Oregon, you're up next on the End of the Hood Show. Brian, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. Great show.
Thanks.
Useful information, entertainment, and no drama. Love it. I'm a podcast listener, so I never miss a show. Here's my story. My adult son and I, he wants to recreate his grandpa's, my dad's 1970 F100 pickup, but he wants a modern version. It's got to have the big 6 with the 4-speed granny first gear. 2-wheel drive's just fine. It had the smooth 16-inch steelies with the dog dish hubcaps, 8-foot bed, bench seat. So he's done a lot of research. He wants to recreate it with the latest F 250, he thinks even 350, that was able to take, bolt in that engine, transmission, and, big towing capacity, hopefully 10,000 range. The engine could be the later one with fuel injection. And then, we'll figure out whether we want to have a double cab or get the full 8-foot bed. So the question for you guys is, where do we look for such a thing, or would we not find such a truck? He thinks the latest is the 95, 96 era.
Well, here's where you start. You've got the vision of what you want. So you write that down either in your head or on paper so you know what you're looking for. And then you get on YouTube to see what other people have done similar to give you inspiration into what you might be doing. You look up OBS Ford trucks. If you're a Chevy guy, you look up OBS Chevy trucks, and you look at resto mods. You look at 6-cylinder powered trucks. You'll find things like that, like people with the 306 in the Ford. You'd be looking at OBS with the 300 modified, people that have been putting fuel injection on them, things like that. I do that all the time when I'm thinking about, and what usually happens is I have a vision of what I want to do with a project, and I look up a dozen, maybe 100 different ones over a month's period of things other people have done, and then I come up with something different based on inspiration. I'm like, oh, you know what? I could do this. And then it comes out differently when I do it, so it's unique on my own, but I got the ideas, or even know that the ability to do, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I was telling these guys, there's an interior I'd like to put in a car, and I didn't even know you could do it. Was totally off the table until I saw that somebody else had done it, and then I said, someday I'm going to do this, and I'm doing it my way, because it's cheaper and different, and I have different access to things. So I knew it was available because I looked at other people's inspiration. When I built a barn, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was looking at a Home Depot kit, but then I looked on the internet and saw other people doing different things, and I said, okay. And then I just got a hammer and nails and screws and started putting it together, and it came out my way. But I wouldn't have done it unless I would have looked at other people's things to see that they could. So I bet you'll find, especially him, when he's got this vision of what he knows it'll look like, he's going to find something.
Starting with an F100 and wanting to do a 6-cylinder, and then your towing capacity you mentioned, those things don't line up.
No, but the 300 was a pretty
strong,
towing
torquey
monster,
engine,
especially with a 410 in the rear end and a 4-speed granny gear. That's going to be. Well, did they make that till 95? The 300 or 94, something like that. Fuel injected.
Yeah, that body style. Yeah, 96. Because once they got out of that body style, that was done. But 100%, 4.9 liter.
Yeah, and if the truck, if you got let's say you got a 1-ton 4-door truck or an extended cab truck that was a 4-wheel drive or a 2-wheel drive, and you put that engine in it, so you got a heavy chassis, that engine's in it with a 410 rear and that granny gear transmission, I bet that tow capacity is probably up around 10. You'd have to look and see what originally they were, but they're going to be.
But he was saying F100. That's why I was like,
right. But you could still make it a 100, even though the body's different. You know, you put the different badge on it.
And another thing, I was at SEMA, and there was a guy there from Wyoming, and he was taking the very rare 60s Ford crew cabs and reskinning them onto a Raptor chassis, and then all modern interior. That beautiful truck, but I mean, we're talking stuff he was selling for $250,000, $300,000.
I love it when they do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy stuff you see people doing, and budget is an issue, and ability of your own is the other issue, which can counteract the budget
for sure. Brian, hold on a second. We don't have much time left, but we got to guess the color of
Grandpa's truck,
right?
Yeah, I think we do.
I'm going red. I'm going to go right out of the gate red.
I think Grandpa's truck was white.
It was Ford green, that old green on the trucks that they had.
And that's Doug's guess too, is green. Sorry, you got to pick something else, Doug. He said it first. Actually, you might have typed it first. Brian, what color was the truck?
Ding, 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 ding. It was that beautiful forest green with a white cab.
There you go.
Okay, a white top on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
I can picture
good looking truck.
Dave and Dale, stay where you are. We'll get to you on the after show. That's a fun project that doesn't even have to come to fruition to be valuable.
Well, and the problem is that he may have waited too long, because that era of trucks, they're just taking off like crazy.
And
it's surprising me. The 80s trucks, they went up, and now even trucks like my body style, I was like, what? Because they were worthless like 7-8 years ago, and now they're the kids, the high school kids that can finally afford to get these and fix them up.
You're driving Grandpa's truck now. You're Grandpa.
I am Grandpa. I got a grandson that's 18 years old.
That'll do it for the Under the Hood show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. All right, let's go into the after show, and let's go right away to Dale in Pennsylvania. Dale, you're on the Under the Hood show. What can we do for you?
I have a 2016 Kia Sedona minivan, and I had a question about the headlights that's in it. Because when I'm driving it at nighttime, there's like a shadow, like it's projecting out, and I don't really care for that. Because like when you're going up and down the hills in western Pennsylvania, it's kind of bothersome.
Oh yeah.
It's a ghost.
The headlights on this vehicle, does it have I don't want to say round headlights, but does it have the projector beam headlights where you got just a little small, like a 2-inch completely circular round headlight on each side of that one? Is that the style it has in this one?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Those are projector beams, they call it, and they cut off the top half of the bulb, and they make it completely flat so you can get a brighter low beam that covers a wider area. But if they're adjusted properly, and these might just be out of adjustment, they'll work well. The other problem they have is that inside the reflector, inside the projector, will rust and break off and cause the beam to be really wonky. So you might need a new headlight. The first step is to have them adjusted and see what they look like. And they might not even have to adjust them. They may put it up against the wall like 20 feet out and say, yeah, you've got a broken headlight. One needs to be replaced, and then we can adjust them. But there is a dot on that headlight that is for adjustment, a little tab that sticks out. And what you do is you park your vehicle about 30 feet away from a wall. You measure from the ground up to the height of that dot, and then you go to the wall and put a piece of tape at that height, and then you just turn the little screw on the back of the headlight until the beam comes in contact with that. That gives you a perfectly level light. And then if it's not right at that point, you need another light. A whole assembly. And I've seen that on the Kias. I've seen it on a lot of other cars too, but the Kias for sure, they will rust off, they will fall off, and then the beam will be weird. They are the greatest headlights when they work, projector style. But, they can fade out. Now we've got this new, I call them cube LEDs, which all the cars, everything's going to this because they're super cheap to mass produce, and they're super bright. You got them in your car, Chris. Mm-hmm. You got them in your truck, Shannon, little square cubes. If you look at an Acura, they got like 8 of them on each side. It's really weird, but they've got amazing lights. But those projector beams, that was the sliced bread for many years. I think you'd be fine if you're going to either find out one, the headlight is just worn out inside, and once you take it off, it'll even rattle, or 2, they're just out of adjustment.
Okay. All right, I will try that. Try to see if I can get them adjusted.
There you go. Thanks very much for the call. Can you put in LEDs in the projector beam?
Oh, yeah. You can put any bulb pretty much in a projector beam to get a better bulb out of or better brightness, because the light is already DOT approved with the cutoff. What you can't do is put those stupid LEDs and things in factory bulbs, incandescent style housings, because those are the ones that blind people going down the road, which, they're illegal in all 50 states, and occasionally they'll pull people over for it, but not near enough. I run into the same people every day when it's dark, and I can't stand it because they've got these bright lights on. So
you're no narc.
What do you do?
You're no narc. You won't call. Right?
I won't call. I mean, they wouldn't do anything if I did, so I just given up.
I think he's a narc. I think
They don't want me to turn my bright lights on because then they'd probably crash right into me. They wouldn't be able to see. So I'm like, well.
Dale, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Let's talk to Dave. You're on the Under the Hood show. Dave, what can we do for you?
Good morning, guys. Thanks for taking my call. I have a 2004 Dodge Diesel with the 5.9. I had it overhauled, and then about, I'd say 1,800 miles into the break-in period, it started overheating. And what I had to do was leave off the throttle in fourth gear to go under 2,000 RPMs, then it would start cooling back down. Anytime I went over 2,000 RPMs in fourth gear, it would start to overheat. Come to a stop sign, it would take 8 seconds to cool down. Put a new thermostat in, kept doing it. Put that control module in on the left side of the fuse box, because I'm on internet said it could be that. That didn't change it. Put a 180 thermostat in, and it seemed to work for about 300 or 400 miles. Then it started doing it all over again.
Have you put a radiator in it yet?
Well, no, we should have had a radiator cleaned and checked when we had the motor out. But with the radiator, if it was the radiator being plugged, would it cool down that fast when you come to a stop sign?
Oh, yeah, because the going down the road, engine's under more load, generates more heat, which means you have to have a bigger heat exchanger. You need to dissipate more heat. You can't, it'll dissipate at, level 5, it's dissipating heat all day long, but at level 10, nope, can't do it. So typically going on the highway, if it gets warmer, but then you slow down and it drops, that's usually the radiator. Now you want to make sure that it's very clean between the radiator and the AC condenser. Why they wanted to put a module in is because you've got that fan off to the side where the AC, it's got the side AC condenser. Answer my own question. Well, no, not on the diesel. That one's in the front. But the electric fan on that needs that module to run. So it's got the fan behind it's got a mechanical fan as well. But you want to make sure the fans are working properly. Yep. You want to make sure that fan is working properly, that you hear it run. You can turn it on with the scanner, control to 100%, and it just roars. But also you want to check that radiator, make sure there's no dirt between the radiator and the condenser. It's completely clean, but that radiator, you can flush it out, but it's not going to do any good if it's already got some corrosion buildup in the fins that you can't remove from it. So it's very possible it's a radiator. And the way we do that is we take our temperature probe, our laser probe, and check the in and the out on the radiator and make sure we've got at least a 50-degree drop between in and out with the fan on high.
When you use the laser heat gun, do you
just want to use it?
Oh, I do all the time.
I go pew pew.
Yeah.
Pew,
I
pew.
go
Yeah.
I go look 98. That's a
no. I've never done that, but now I'll probably be stuck in my head, and I'll be like,
and the guys will be like, Russ is going crazy. He's
finally losing
making
it.
Nerf shooting noises.
Yeah. Dave, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. All right, we had a call. Joel from Georgia was on hold, had to go, but he posted on the chat. Has a 23 Ridgeline, 22,000 miles, 3 years old. Last oil change 3 months ago. Only 200 miles on the oil change. Is a big trip coming up. Should he change the oil now or after? He thinks it'll be about 3,000 miles. It's been 3 months.
Nah, he should be fine.
Okay.
If he's got a good oil filter on there, he should be just fine. Oil filters are typically good for about 6 months.
He also says brake fluid change before or after.
No. Take off and go.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. And then now if he told me, well, the truck's been, mostly parked. I've only driven it like once a week for a mile for the last 2 years because I was in service or something. But I'd be like, yeah, change that because the filter is going to be the problem with the car.
3 months ago,
this is a vehicle in normal active use. Yeah. Jump in and go.
All right, there you go. Joel, thanks for chatting with us. Also, he says you guys are amazing at explaining complicated concepts for listeners at any level. That's
good. I was just going to throw in on the brake fluid thing because I do believe that brake fluid is a necessary item to manage and maintain, but it's overprescribed in many places on changing it.
Okay.
You can test it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Test strips.
You can do a pH test strip. There's different things they can look for. So make sure that's part of that discussion.
All right, there we go. Anything else?
No.
I think we're done. I think that's it for the Under the Hood show. Thanks very much for watching, and please subscribe, like this episode, and do all that stuff because we benefit. That's why we do. That's why we want.
And the community gets bigger. Mm-hmm. It's all better.
Everyone's a winner. If you like or subscribe. If you don't, yeah,
We're going down. This
whole
conversation
thing's
got
going
weird.
down. Yeah, I know. The whole. If you don't, that's what happens. If you don't like or subscribe, this is what you get right here.
A sad ending.
Yep. You should have liked it.